Good morning and a happy Valentine's Day to you and yours. I am Marsh, joined by one and only Rick Blaze, the perfect person for me to start my Valentine's Day out. Let me tell you what. Good morning, Rick, and a happy Valentine's Day. Oh, look at that. I got you that. I got that for Rick. That was me. I sent
Yeah,
it
I
to
know
him.
you did get that for me. Let everybody see what it says, because this is how you feel about me. Wait, let me get the camera right.
Other direct. There you go. Shoddy. What? Whoop. Earmuffs slash eyeballs for all the kids out
Thanks.
there for that
Thanks,
second letter.
Marsh.
Second
You think
word.
the world of me, and now the world knows.
I clearly forgot there was a swear word on the bottom line there. We got plenty to get to here. A lot of hoops as SWBA approaches the the All-Star break and the SimWorld U season conference play, making things rather spicy. But let's start in the SWBA, and that is the All-Star break. Most teams have about 27, 28 games left in the regular season. So, Rick, for you, what's the biggest storyline? What are you watching the closest as we head into the closing stretch of the regular season?
I mean, whether people want to talk about it or not, you have to. They're back. They're back in the conversations. The Los Angeles Lakers, baby. I mean, they made this huge deal getting Luka Doncic. They've rallied in the standings in the wins column, so now they're up fourth place somewhere in there in the standings. And everyone wants to know how's it going to be with Luka and LeBron. What they're going to make a run? Can they go to the championship? There's so many question marks, so many inquiries. They got Knicks trades that didn't go through. They picked up some other guys. The Los Angeles Lakers are the talk of the town again. Whether you hate them or love them, that's who everybody wants to see. That's who everybody wants to talk about. That's where the eyes are going to be in La La Land.
I frankly don't care what happens with the Lakers. I'm not speaking on
You're a
behalf of
homer because
everyone
you're a
else.
homer.
Well, that's partially true. I guess I can't. I'm not going to run from that. Obviously, I just don't like the Lakers. But to me, what I'm most interested in, for me, the biggest storyline is a team that you saw in that little highlight package, is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay, this is this weird era of the Eastern Conference where, despite the fact that we've got a defending champion who's having a 39 and 16 season, they're still not the number one team in the conference, but yet we don't give them the same type of championship respect that we gave to teams. And I'm not comparing the players, but like when you had LeBron James in the Cleveland Cavaliers when they were rolling, and you had Toronto and you had Atlanta, and they were reeling off better records or just as good records, and people are just like, we don't really care. So I'm most interested in what happens with the Cavaliers. Can they legitimately be a champion? I think that's a big storyline in the Eastern Conference, or rather the biggest, because you've got a Boston Celtics team that was dealing with this disrespect heading into their championship run. They win a championship and they say, okay, now you got to respect us. And people are like, we still don't, actually, believe it or not. And they haven't backed it up, which you wouldn't expect them to, with a great second season afterwards. And Cleveland has. Cleveland's been the best team. So for me, it's Cleveland and throw a dash of Oklahoma City. We aren't going to get answers until the postseason. But for me, it's the biggest storyline, the most entertaining one, is are these two teams that other people don't want to consider contenders, who I think are they going to live up to that? Can you win a championship in this new, very deep era of SWBA? Can you win one with a team like Cleveland that doesn't have a top 5? I don't even think they have a top 10 guy on their roster. Can they beat a Boston, a New York, which I think they could, Indiana? I think, Boston's the team they've got to get over. Can Cleveland do it? To me, Rick, that's the biggest storyline in the home stretch.
I think that's a legit question, because I don't think people, since LeBron James left Cleveland again a second time, I don't think people has Cleveland. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not really taking Cleveland serious in the playoffs. I know, it sounds crazy. I know, but this version of the Cavs haven't shown me anything. Just
We'll
like
see if
this
they
version,
do.
this version of the Cleveland Cavs haven't shown anything in the postseason. Let me rephrase it. In the regular season, they look good, but we've seen plenty of examples over the years of regular season champs and
We sure have.
postseason chumps.
Yep.
We see it all the time.
That's the no shortage, and that is what to me is the most interesting part of this Cavaliers team. Are they this contender? Are they a 90s Utah Jazz, right? Where it's like, okay, they might not have a Michael Jordan on their roster, but they're still going to make deep playoff runs. And they've got two of the greatest point guards and power forward. I'm not calling Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley either of those things.
Yeah,
Or
be
are they
cautious, be
like
cautious, be
are
cautious.
they an Atlanta Hawks? Are they a Toronto Raptors where it's good and everybody just kind of says, okay, but not that good. Let's head to college basketball where a little surprise throughout college hoops, but in my opinion, Rick, tell me if I'm wrong here, but maybe the biggest surprise comes out of the Big 12, and that's Dayton, who reeled off their fourth straight win. Now they are 2 games above 500, but as we sit here today, they are in the driver's seat for a chance to play Texas in the Big 12 championship game. Kansas, Texas Tech sitting right behind them at 3-1 apiece. Respect to the Red Raiders, who also 3-1 in conference play despite sitting at 500. Dayton, a contender in the Big 12 right now? Did you mute yourself, Rick?
I'm hesitant to sign off on that.
You don't know. Okay.
It's the Big 12. I mean, they are second. They 11-9. They're behind UT, who's obviously kicking butt right now.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, statistically, yes. You have to say yes.
Well, Rick, if you're going to be fluctuating here, how about I just give you the answer? The answer is yes.
No, you can't give me an answer though.
Well, I'm telling you, you're struggling to get one. I have no struggle with this because Rick, what is there in the Big 12 that's of any concern? Kansas has been up and down throughout the season.
I think Kansas 21 right together, now. Though. That's the concern.
But that's the only. That's who they have to jump. That's the team they got to jump, Rick. Kansas, who has been as high as a top 10 team, has been on the fringes of losing out, of getting out of the top 25. That's who they've got to get past. Dayton does. In my opinion, they are a contender in the Big 12 because I'm looking around like John, what the heck is his name? Not Tarantino, John Travolta. Looking around as I walk in the room, saying who's actually a contender in here because it's the Big 12 and there's nobody.
I mean, I'm again statistically you can say contenders, but do I realistically see them beating UT? Absolutely not.
And that's the interesting part, right, Rick?
Because they're not. There's levels to this, March.
No, I'm not disagreeing. But because all they have to do is get in. Before
Dayton's 4-game win streak, you had no idea that Dayton was going to be where they are right now. No one was talking none of this talk, right? So it can't. All Kansas got to do is string a couple of wins together again. They might falter, and then the conversation's over with. But at the end of the day, the king of the hill is still UT, and I don't think they have the talent to knock down those big dogs.
I think what Dayton has done, and again, new conference championship game format is if you win the regular season record, you're guaranteed a spot in, regardless of if you win or lose the conference championship game. If you get into the conference championship game as the number 2 team and you win, obviously you get the automatic bid. So if Dayton gets there, Dayton's getting into Hoops area. But what this has done has moved them from a team that was under 500 by 2 games. Now they're 2 games above 500. They are locking their ticket, whether it's an automatic or an at-large bid. I think they've locked their ticket to Hoops area with this recent run. They have to continue it. The season's not done, but I think Dayton might not be a contender in the traditional sense. They're definitely not likely winning a national championship, but they have put themselves in a position to play for a Big 12 championship. And we talked a lot about it, Rick, with Princeton and Harvard and Jackson State making the jump to the American Conference. Dayton made a huge jump into one of the harder conferences. I would say the Big 12 is a deeper conference, just talent level, than American, and they've answered the bell, much like I think both of ours, our brainiacs up in New Jersey have. All right, speaking of taking over, how about Cooper Kingy Cross last night in a primetime matchup against Rutgers, walking away with a 26-piece and a Maryland win, 81-69. Dominant second half for the Terps. They score 49. I don't know why we got Chicago Bulls highlights, although certainly could be a place that we end up seeing a guy like Cooper Kingy Cross. But your takeaways last night from Cooper Kingy Cross outshining Dylan Harper.
Yeah, I mean, I went 2 for 3 on my predictions last night. And
not 75%, but there you go. I said not 75%.
Down from 75 to like 71 now.
But you only picked 3, so you couldn't have gotten to 75%. It's kind of a boom or bust day for you.
Thank you. But this is why if you're the Washington formerly Bullets, now Wizards, you got to go all in on CKC for number one
Real
pick.
quick, weird decision to go with the formerly known as name when the team's name has been changed for like 25 years, but continue.
I'm not wrong. They're formerly known.
You are. It's just I don't think I've ever heard of somebody use that in modern day basketball. When it'd be one thing if you were like changing the name of like, I don't know, the Utah Hockey Club, which used to be the Arizona Coyotes as of 2 days ago, a year and a half ago. But continue your point. I
But
didn't
I
mean
mean,
to
you
interrupt.
got. I'm teaching the kids. They are the future. You teach them, let them lead the way.
Unfortunately,
Show them
continue,
all the
continue.
beauty they possess inside.
All right,
Okay,
boo
all
thing.
right.
Get to the point.
So CKC showed again why he's the number one pick in the draft. I mean, Sherwood is.
Ooh, is
Just,
this is new ground for you, Rick? I don't think you've admitted this before.
if you let me finish because you keep interrupting me.
I
Why
do
he's the
like
number
to
one
do
pick in
that
the
to you.
draft? If you're the Washington Wizards.
Okay, but that come on, that was already known. We knew that.
If you're the Washington Wizards, no,
We
everyone
knew
had the
that.
draft board has Sherwood going on. Why? If you're the Wizards, CKC is your guy, and there's no conversation. Now, if you're not
100%.
the Wizards, then Jamison Justin is your guy, and there's no conversation. I hate to
Do
throw my
you
man in there, but it is what it is.
okay? So the takeaway last night from Cooper King Cross and Maryland as a whole is what? Because I think we are in agreement that Washington. We had a conversation about this a little while ago. Washington is going to do. They're going to move heaven and earth to get Cooper King Cross. Would
Yes.
be my expectation. Everything I've heard from people I've talked to. Washington is not going to take anybody except Cooper King Cross. The question is, how much do they have to pay to get there? What's your takeaway last night for Maryland specific? Does that change your outlook on a team that's now 12-5 on the season, or is this just a confirmation maybe of who Rutgers is?
I think for Maryland, I like it for Maryland because you got. I always say this at the end of the day, when you get into these conference games, get to these close games, you get into Hoops Theory, you got to have a guy who can give you a guaranteed bucket. And CKC is a guaranteed bucket. So I feel comfortable with a team like Maryland going into the big dance and going to the tournament play because when the games are tight and this fourth quarter and booty cheeks get clamped together, you got to have a guy who can give you a bucket. And there's not many as good, definitely none greater than CKC as far as giving a bucket. So when you got a guy like that with a team like that with a surrounding cast, Maryland is a solid score. I'm not going to say contender because that name has been tossed around more times than a Caesar salad on Irish Day. So I'm not going to say contenders because I hate just tossing that around. But they are a solid score and they always have a shot because those three letters are going to always bail them out. C. K.
What's
C.
Irish Day? What is Irish Day?
I just made that one up.
You,
Today's Valentine's Day.
you,
Today's Valentine's Day. I just threw Irish in front of for Irish Day.
I like the first part of that analogy. Toss around more than a Caesar salad. I mean, that's clean. Irish Day. I
I
don't
mean,
know where we're
Irish
going
Spring
with
is
that.
clean. I'm trying to make a connection here.
But Caesar
I'm
salad. I don't even know if a Caesar salad is Irish. But anyhow, to me,
it's not.
right. I want to say it's Italian, but I think I'm just making like Caesar. You know, who's Roman. I don't
I mean,
know.
but Roman.
Somebody tell us where the Caesar salad
I mean, if
originated.
I carry a
Um,
one,
all right. Anyhow, to me, no changes on Maryland. I feel exactly the same way I've always felt about Maryland. We are in agreement that Cooper King Cross. I actually think Cooper King Cross is the number one pick, regardless who's picking at number one. And I wouldn't be surprised if a team like Utah's like we're taking him.
no
But
one's
to
going to
me,
Utah.
we're getting concerned. If someone's going to Utah, to me, this is getting a little concerning area for Rutgers. You've lost 3 in a row. The conference is not going to get, or your schedule is not going to get any better. I told you weeks ago that I think that the Big Ten is going to get 7 or 8 teams into hoops area. That's continuing to look more and more likely. They only have one team that is below 500 beyond 2 games, and that's Wisconsin, who's 6-12, and also 1-1 in conference play. There's a real chance that we get 11 teams into hoops area from the Big Ten, and I think Rutgers could very well, if Wisconsin plays well, could very well be out of it if they don't turn it around. I think this is very challenging right now. They're 8-7. They have not looked good since being way too highly ranked to start the season. They briefly got themselves back into conference play or into the top 25, and they've subsequently lost 3 more games in a row. This is danger zone for the Scarlet Knights. They need to figure out, and we keep harping about, Tennessee Volunteers, they're not playing well. Trey Turner's upset. The Missouri Tigers, watch out. Japheth Towns. We're not talking about Rutgers in the same way, and we should be. They've got a top 5 prospect doing all the work on offense. Defense can't get stops down the stretch. Rutgers is a 500 basketball team. They're worse than Tennessee, in my opinion. They're worse than Missouri. I don't care what the records say, in my opinion. And they're on the verge of playing their way out of Hoopsteria. If this trend continues, if you started today, they'd be getting in. But if this trend continues, Rick, I think they could very well miss Hoopsteria altogether if they can't figure out a way to get some wins together.
Yeah, they're definitely on the downward slope of things right now. If you're Rutgers, you got to put it together. You got to put it together very, 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 very fast. And their schedule is not getting any easier. So, again, conference plays will separate the men from the boys. I can easily see Rutgers losing the next 2 games. So you talk about a team who can, in the next couple of weeks, can be a couple of games below 500. So it's single swim time. Dylan Harper's going to need some help. Those guys are going to step up. The team is going to have to get a stop or 2 occasion. To have a chance to win, and they're trending down, and I don't have any words to help them trend back up right now. It is what it is.
Michigan State, Indiana, Penn State before they get Wisconsin, the only other team with a worse record than them on March 16th. Actually, there's one other team who is it. Purdue is 500 and Ohio State is 500. Oh, Michigan, by the way, 7-8.
That Penn State game is a trap game.
But the point, schedule doesn't get easier. You don't have a trend of, well, you get Nevada, Colorado State back-to-back, or, if you're in the Pac-12, you get Washington and Colorado on back-to-back nights. Right now, Rutgers is the team that people look at as we get Wisconsin, Rutgers, back-to-back games. That's a good thing for us. That is the situation that Rutgers is in. All right, it is Thursday, February 14th, which means that we have no games tonight. Friday, Thursday, I'm looking at days. It's February 14th. At least I got that part right. We got no games on SimWorld U tonight, but we do have SimWorld Prep action rolling through this weekend. The Mena Mirage head overseas to Saudi Arabia. The first time that SimWorld Prep has ever stepped foot in the desert. That one rolls through all day Saturday, of course, because you have conflicting interests. But we're back in SimWorld U over next week, including next week's game of the week, which comes to us a dandy on, what day was that one? Thursday. Kentucky and Arkansas, a likely top 12 matchup as Kentucky hasn't figured things out. You get Jamison Johnson, you get DJ Wagner. Thursday, February 20th, the game of the week next week rolling on. That's on ESPN. All right, that's our show. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Day of Love. Treat your significant other well today, even if you think you've been doing it. Get some flowers, get some chocolates. If they're lactose intolerant, dark chocolate doesn't have milk in it. You should know that already, though.
Get them a bear.
We're coming back.
Get them a bear if you really care about
it. Get them a bear that doesn't have a swear word on it if you got kids around. That's our show. We're coming back on Monday. That's Rick. I'm Marsh. Thank you for joining us here on SimWorld TV. The only place you can see the game, be the game.
This has been a presentation of SimWorld Sports.